Hello, welcome to the Below the Trees podcast. We've got a great episode for you today. This is actually a repeat of an episode that we tried to do, but we had technical difficulties, so we'll talk about it, and we'll get down to the bottom of it. But today we talk personal finance. We also get into some weird theories that are not related to personal finance, but are good times. So please, pull up a chair, make some popcorn, eat some chips, do all the normal YouTube things. Indulge us with your time. We appreciate you. This is the Below the Trees podcast. Welcome back to episode
8.5.
How the hell are you doing, buddy?
8.5, because we had some technical difficulties on the last one, which is why the last ones were kind of parceled out into little pieces.
Do those count as episodes? I don't think so, right? Just more
No,
of like,
I haven't. A full episode is one where I put a number on it.
Yeah, these were kind of like bonus
Shorts.
nuggets.
Yeah, little shorts.
Little nuggets. Little nugs.
I guess you want to call them nugs. I'm good with nugs.
Get some nuggy videos. Like chicken
No
nuggets.
Diddy.
No Diddy. Hey, check out episode 4 of our podcast of The Diddler, where we get into some of these hot topics about P. Diddy. How's he doing anyways? I haven't really followed up with that case since we really chatted about it.
Absolutely no clue, bro.
Yeah, same, zero clue. Kind of seemed like it quieted down a little bit. All quiet on the western front. On the eastern Miami front.
On the Johnson & Johnson lubed up, oiled Miami Vice.
Man, I knew I was good to buy stock in Johnson & Johnson, dude.
Container ship. Container ship
Jesus.
route.
Jesus. Well, how are you, buddy? You good?
Pizza and hot dogs. I'm done. All right, I'm good.
Wait, are we getting to Pizzagate?
No, we're
Okay.
not going that far.
I don't know really know about Pizzagate, to be honest.
Yeah, no, we're not touching that.
Well, this is episode 8. We originally recorded episode 8 last week,
Yeah.
but there was some technical difficulties with the audio. Hence, you get 3 10-minute videos of me just looking like an asshole. So
No, not at all.
yeah, it was a good episode, though. I think we touched on a lot of good points.
We had fun.
We did have fun.
I think this one will be better because we'll be able to refine it.
Yeah, be able to kind of straighten things out.
I was able to sit on it for a week.
Was there anything that you would change? Now we're
Yeah, no,
on the
this-
actual
this
redo.
is
The
a whole.
redo.
It's a whole new episode, bro.
This is a whole new episode.
Yeah. So like, forget everything that happened, and this is a new episode.
This is kind of like the Avengers Endgame. That episode was deleted. It doesn't exist anymore. Move on with your lives, you pieces of shit.
Pretty much, right?
No, but for real, on the Avengers Endgame, before we get into today's topic, imagine how fucked up that is, right? Thanos makes everyone disappear, and then within you're 5 years into this sort of dystopian shit world where half of the people that ever existed are gone, and then you're just whatever, it's gonna work.
It'll be
At least
fine.
they got my boss.
At least they know what's up.
Yeah. But then there's got to be those guys in that who live in that world who'd be like, fuck yeah, this is great. There's no traffic. Hey, property values. I could finally buy a house.
Who gives a fuck?
Supply and demand. We had 300 million in America. Now we only have 150 million. Now I can actually afford to live here.
Right.
And I can get to point A to point B in a reasonable amount of time. Then imagine that guy when everybody comes back. He's like, fuck. Fucking Avengers. Jeez, just let it be. We got to do all this time travel and shit. Like, come on, man. I'm trying to live my life over here. Things were great. Then you got that asshole who doesn't love his wife. He's like, damn it. Hey, honey.
Damn.
Nice to see you again.
Shots fired.
All disclosures, full disclosures. We are fans of our wives, and my wife and his girlfriend. We all love each other.
These
Not
are
separately.
jokes, folk. These are all
These are just jokes. No need to, ask for our heads. With the YouTube guillotine. That's a pretty good analogy, I think.
That's, yeah,
The
aptly
YouTube
put.
guillotine.
It is.
That's probably the most insightful thing I've said on this show.
Sand Hill Road guillotine.
I was actually reading about the French Revolution the other day.
Do tell. What's there to learn?
I mean, well, I didn't,
because there's a way that we can tie this into money and banking.
Of course. So
I already have some.
I'm pretty confident I knew this previously, but it was almost a refresher.
Okay.
The King Louis the 16th wasn't immediately killed with the French Revolution. The Robespierre and his party, God, I can't think of the name. The National Assembly, right? They actually worked with Louis the 16th to a degree. They made him come back from Versailles into Paris at a mansion in Paris.
Right.
And he was kind of a prisoner in his own home. It's not like he had a lot of authority. But I didn't realize that he was actually... So French Revolution, technically, as it's coined, started in 1789.
Ended?
10 years later. 10 years later.
A decade.
A whole decade of just chopping off your heads. But, anyways, so Louis the 16th was actually killed in 1793, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And it was when he was caught conspiring with former revolutionaries to bring back the monarchy. And so there was a lot of issues on his way. He was going to sneak to Austria with his wife and was caught on his way to Austria and then was sentenced to treason. But he actually he tried to work. They were looking at doing like a constitutional monarchy, but it would have been more of like a show monarchy, nothing serious, because the National Assembly didn't believe in the monarchy. And another quick fun fact about the guillotine: was officially abandoned as a form of capital punishment because I think capital punishment was outlawed in France in 1981. So almost a full 100 years of the guillotine that we got. And then the last guy executed was in, I think, 1977.
Okay.
And the last public execution was in the 1930s. Guess who was in attendance? Someone famous. I don't think you'll guess, but just to pose the question to you, who do you think was in attendance?
In the 1930s?
In the 1930s. I'll give you a hint. It's an actor.
Howard Hughes.
No, not Howard Hughes. Although I wouldn't be surprised if he flew his way there. Catch the spectacle. No. Christopher Lee, famous English actor, was in attendance. He was, I think, 17 years old, if I'm not mistaken. He was in attendance, and he witnessed the public execution. And I guess there's video footage where Christopher Lee is actually in the video footage. And ironically, in 1989, he portrayed one of the Frenchmen who used the guillotine. So it's kind of a little interesting fun fact no one gives a shit about. But it's interesting nonetheless. It's interesting nonetheless.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, Christopher Lee? That guy's freaking a Darth Jedi. He's a former Jedi.
It's awesome shit.
And then he was also in Lord of the Rings. Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, and at the last public execution. Who would have thought? This guy was like at the public execution. He's like, man.
We should just call him Forrest Gump.
He's like, I just think, man, in a few years, I'm going to be playing a wizard and a space wizard.
Who would have funked it?
Yeah. They haven't even gone to space yet at that point, so. He had really great foresight. And he was in World War II. So that was my little tidbit.
History pod.
Useless history pod. Hardcore history. That's a trademark. We're not using that. Don't sue us.
A famous guy we appreciate the hell out of.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Again,
man.
Don't sue us.
Don't sue us. We're just here having a good time.
We're your friend. You're our friend. Let's all just be friends.
Let's just be friends. No, but good times, man. Just, history has a lot of odd quinkadinks. Quidinkadinks.
Did you know who funded the railroad?
The railroad.
connecting Spain with Europe.
Spain with the whole of Europe.
Because between Spain and the whole of Europe, there's this thing called a mountain range.
Yes.
Known as the Pyrenees.
The Pyrenees.
That's from France.
Yeah.
And so...
that's a good question. Can I have a hint? I think I have... There's a name I'm thinking of, but...
Shoot.
Is it the Rothschild family?
Correct.
Okay. I knew it was on to something.
Right. How about the Suez Canal? Have you ever heard of that?
The Suez Canal, I have heard of that.
Where's that? And what is that?
It's in the Red Sea, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Okay.
It's the
connects
Red Sea,
what?
The Mediterranean through Egypt.
So the Arab world and the Asian world touching base into the European world.
Correct.
Right? Another thing brought to us by the Rothschilds.
It's funny you say that because I think when you go to the Suez Canal today, there's a sign that says, funded by the Rothschilds.
Yeah.
It's well kept, I think is the original. That's stupid. All right. Okay, John, it sounds to me you're trying to make a point here. What's going on?
No.
What's with this whole Rothschild thing?
I'm just kind of highlighting the fact that there is a family that has kind of figured out how to, in effect, be the banker to a lot of different massive global projects.
Yeah.
And these are just two little ones that I'm highlighting just because...
Just really little ones.
Just, why not? Let's talk about it. This whole thing's about finance. And I think, like you asked, if I were to redo the pod, what would I want to do? And I think my biggest takeaway here is you have to educate yourself enough about what money and finance and fiat currency is.
Yeah.
So that then you can become decentralized.
Mm-hmm.
And decentralized means taking what the normal financial advisor would say is absurd positions, believing in things with high conviction, being able to kind of pre-plan your moves well in advance, knowing what it is that you want to do, and taking from the lessons the Rothschilds of you can build and amass great fortunes when you know how to be at the right time, at the right place, and in this case, being able to provide the funding that literally most of the industrialized world uses to make happen.
Yeah.
And so with that, I think we should kind of delve a little bit into what is centralized finance.
Yeah.
So
actually, it's interesting you say that because I think that's a pretty good place to start.
Yeah.
Because I think last time, as I kind of reflect on what we spoke about, not that what we were talking about was esoteric in any way.
We had fun.
Yeah, I think we had a good time. And I think we talked about a lot of good things and personal applications into those things. But when we specifically touched on decentralized, I don't think we fully defined some of these terms.
Sure.
So I think touching, if let's say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if the goal is to be decentralized, how can you do that if you don't understand what centralized actually means?
Correct.
So talk to me, John.
So, I mean, as a perfect example, if you are a wage earner, right, what does that inherently mean?
Your earnings tied to someone else.
Okay. But more specifically, you've accepted, be it a contract,
Yeah.
or an agreement that you're going to be spending time
Yeah.
doing something to be earning a wage.
You're in the system.
You're in someone's system.
Correct.
And you, by signing the contract, are agreeing into that system from the start.
Yeah.
Right? So, right there, if you want to be decentralized, you don't sign a contract with anyone.
Yeah.
Right? You try to figure out and try to learn how to work for yourself, which we were kind of touching on. Not everybody has the opportunity, the ability, the guts, the know-how, the knowledge to do it, right? It's a tough step.
Yeah.
And it's a step of risk. And most people don't have that entrepreneurial bone to do it. And so I personally was blessed with having my dad as a CPA who essentially came out of centralized government, working for the city and county of San Francisco, who then got a job in private banking, working for Wells Fargo and Bank of America in Nicaragua, doing multiple explorations with oil.
Yeah.
And he was part of that accounting, right? Part of that centralized, how are we allocating money, right? Part of that controlling. I mean, that's the job. They call it a controller, right?
Or
who controls the money, right?
Yeah.
A war breaks out and he comes here and he uses his accounting experience that he had as a kid. And this even goes back as far as my grandfather, my great grandfather. They were accountants. They ran their own things. They had rentals. They had businesses.
Yeah.
But my dad then, out of necessity, figures out how to become a CPA, certified public accountant.
Yeah.
And specializes in doing audits for schools. So it's a very specialized niche field.
Yeah.
Right? And then also starts working in the community doing taxes. And so when I'm born, he has his office in Lenox, which is a Latino neighborhood. He runs his own business. He's doing taxes. He's also doing audits. He's working with schools. And I'm seeing all of this happen. And it's not until I'm maybe 12, 13, that my dad starts working specifically with high net worth clients.
Yeah.
And I start seeing what he does and then kind of going with him to his office, seeing what happens, what does the job entail, and what is this whole thing about money and finance.
Yeah.
So seeing him and my mom run and operate their office, expand into a new, better office in Torrance, and then move into Hermosa Beach, and the clientele getting better, and the problems getting more complicated.
Yeah.
Tax attorneys, old friends, old tax attorney friends.
JQR.
One of them. There's a few.
Yeah.
And then me having the opportunity when I'm in high school to kind of get my feet wet.
Yeah.
Working at these tax offices, seeing what my dad does, looking at what these audits are.
Yeah.
Understanding that in this country, and pretty much every other country, you earn a wage by signing that contract, and you now have to pay taxes on it. Taxes being one of the things to help fund most of our social services, the roads, employees, people who we need to help facilitate the regular beings of life and the complexities of them, right? The whole thing. And you then see where money gets sent, how it's sent, collected, dispersed, challenged, right? Audited.
Mm-hmm.
And how all of this derives itself from what is put on the tax return. And working with different tax attorneys, you see some like to push the envelope and say this is a business deduction when the legalese isn't very clear.
Yeah.
Or no, these are the numbers and that's it, and that's what we're going with. And you get to see that there is an opinion here, that there is the balance between an art and a science, right? And that this whole system comes back into this country, at least, with something that we call the Federal Reserve.
Now, this is the beginning of centralized banking in the United States.
What the fuck is a Federal Reserve?
Tell us, John. Started in, what was it, 1918?
On the year,
I'm pretty sure 1918 was under the Woodrow Wilson administration during World War II. World War I, rather.
And essentially, it helps unify this nation under understanding that we're all going to work together. States, municipalities, people.
Yeah.
And we're all going to agree to this one currency. And it was originally backed by gold up until
Richard Nixon.
Nixon in 71 kind of debases it. And we now move on into this more fiat currency.
Correct.
And my dad remembers.
And just for definitional purposes, fiat currency would refer to the paper money that we use to exchange goods.
That's what it is.
For goods and services, yeah.
Yeah.
Just in case someone who's listening says, what the fuck is fiat currency?
It's not the car.
It's not the car? The paper money.
Right.
Fiat.
And this whole concept of banking, right?
Yeah.
Is something that if we really dig into the history, that only Jews were allowed to charge interest. Otherwise, if you were a Christian or a Catholic living in Europe, this was usurp, and this was illegal. Only the Jews can practice this. And so that's where
banking.
Loaning money.
Loaning money and charging interest.
And charging interest. Loaning money is okay if it's between one Jew and another Jew. But now loaning money and charging interest is something that somebody does to someone who is not Jewish.
And
And
why is that? Why was that? And how did that practice start? That it was prohibited rather for other people to have that practice. Where did that begin?
I don't have that answer. That's let's jump to Google and figure that one out. But I do know we need a rabbi so he can tell us why.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's fucking go to Google, because I don't know.
Pause break. All right, we're back. So we read a usury is what we're referring to. Is a term used for interest collection,
Right.
And it's often in at least the historical context used as a derogatory. But interest rate has been something. Setting an interest rate for a loan is something that has been going on for a long time, even up through the Roman Empire. But again, something that not necessarily a liked practice.
Right.
And I think what you were referring to earlier, reference in Judaism, the Jews, according to the Torah and Deuteronomy, is what we were reading,
Right.
made the mention that you should not set an interest rate on your, your kin, your family, your cultural similars, right? But
Your
it was
tribe.
okay. Your tribe. But it was okay in
To
context
foreigners.
to foreigners, yeah.
Which means non-Jews.
To non-Jews.
Right.
I mean,
Yes, Brian.
I see what you're saying, but
Because then you have to get deep into the
Yeah.
what is the Jewish law, right? So like on Sundays, I have some Jewish friends who like they can't touch lights at all.
Yeah,
They can't
yeah.
make orders or requests.
Yeah, correct.
So I mean, you get someone else to do it, and they have a word for it. All right.
No, see, but I get what you're saying, but I also think at the same time that this is not like an issue that's isolated. You know what I mean? Like this whole concept of setting interest rate is predates the Jews, and has been around for centuries.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. It's interesting to hear the kind of the history, the ancient history rather, of interest rates. Wild. That it's weird how, to me, when you do read ancient history, kind of as a sub point, maybe not necessarily ingrained with personal finance or talking about what centralized means, but it's fascinating. Sometimes we disconnect ourselves from ancient history as like this is something so long ago that we have no connection to, but in reality, a lot of like our thinkers, right, are still heavily influenced by, Greek philosophers. There's a lot of the traditions and culture stem from ancient traditions, and it's just wild to me. It kind of humbles me a little bit to see that connection to the past and see it kind of in the present day. Little side tidbit. But you were saying, let's finish this centralized. What does this all mean, John?
So, I mean, in effect, you're inherently signing up with the system,
Yeah.
right?
As a wage earner.
As a wage earner.
Correct.
And the only thing you can do is to try to figure out how you can remove yourself from earning money based solely off of your time.
Yeah.
Right? And in this country, the preferred method is stocks.
Yeah.
And so any run-of-the-mill financial advisor will tell you, take your money, invest it into the S&P 500,
Yeah.
and call it a day. Because that's what Uncle Warren said.
Yeah.
Right. And that works for about 95% of everyone.
Yeah.
But if you think you're different, you're a little more curious,
Yeah.
you don't want to be like the herd. That's why you have to get educated.
Yeah.
And getting educated is learning decentralized thinking.
Yeah.
And being able to look at finance. What?
Well, I was going to put a button that for just a quick second.
Go for it.
So coming back to the definition of centralized and what that means, that at least just to how I understand anyways, what we're talking about is that centralized, you are a part of a system, and how you earn money, how you invest your money. If you're in these institutions and you're working, trading your time for money, you're inherently part of some sort of system.
Mm-hmm.
If for example, you're just...
It's given to you.
Correct.
It's not even you are. It's given to you.
So
Let me just take a step back, because you earn your paycheck,
yeah.
and there's SUCA, FIDA, you pay all of that, especially if you're running your own business.
Yeah.
And these are social things that you're paying into, right? If you are earning a wage, earning a W-2,
Yeah.
you pay into the Social Security system.
Correct.
Which means you keep paying into it. By the time you're hitting the age, whenever that age is that the government deems is the age to retire, because it keeps moving now,
Yeah.
then we'll give you a slice of this pie that everyone else has been putting in.
Yeah.
And that's the pension that's given to you.
Correct.
You didn't do anything to do it except start working.
Trade your time.
Okay? Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So long as you're paying your taxes, which means active participation in the system,
Yeah.
then you shall have a little sliver at the end.
Yeah.
If your employer says, I'm going to take care of you and I'm going to give you this retirement account, then usually whatever is inside that bucket of that retirement account from the advisors and the firms and the brokers and the investment advisors that created this whole thing creates the different avenues. So you could be working at a place where only they offer target fund investments. You can't go in there.
2060 funds.
You can't go in there and say, I want to start investing in Pfizer. That's all I want. I want pure Pfizer.
Yeah.
They'll say, no, we have this aggressive stock investment portfolio that you can put your money in.
To caveat that, though, there are, in certain retirement systems, you do have the ability for a self-directed brokerage account with the money that you send. So you still get the tax benefit at the front end.
But on the back end.
Well, I mean, you get tax, of course, right?
Okay.
But if you wanted to control your own, if you wanted to,
let me play devil's advocate.
High conviction investments.
Fully.
Okay.
You do that. You do high conviction. You're able to invest in a few stocks.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You're wealthy. You made it. You have this account, right? That you work towards, and now it's worth $45 million. You're 80 years old. It's worth $45 million. You are above the estate threshold.
Yeah.
It's in a retirement account, Bryan.
Yeah.
What can you do? How can you transfer that asset over into your family?
Maybe through a trust. Tell me, John.
You're not understanding me.
Maybe not.
You're above the estate threshold.
Sorry.
So the estate threshold is 26
million. Okay.
You're above it.
Yeah.
You got 45. You got 50. Call it what you want.
Yeah.
The estate tax is going to say, no, Bryan.
We get half.
We get 54% of that.
Yeah.
Who wins here?
Federal government.
Okay.
Okay, but just to kind of backtrack a little bit.
But this is my point.
Yeah.
It's in a retirement account, and you can't do fuck all with it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so you worked, and you got a lot of money in this account.
Yeah.
But now you want to take it out. You got to sell it. You want to transfer it over to your family. You can't, because you didn't know that you needed a plan for it.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't know that there was all these other barbed wires around the money.
Yeah.
Because it's in a retirement account. It's treated differently. Nobody tells you this.
Yeah.
That's the step. That's the education.
Yeah.
So what's the solution? Well, open up a brokerage. Learn the advantage of a brokerage account.
Yeah.
Learn the advantage of not trusting your employer, not trusting the federal government, not trusting anyone.
No.
And if you go so far as to say that, you might believe in Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's centralized.
Correct.
This whole system is centralized.
But okay, let me ask you this. You have a family. Let's say, typical mom, dad, 2 kids.
Uh-huh.
Both are wage earners. Both work. Maybe one works a public sector job. One works a private sector job.
Great. My next question as a tax person would be, how do they file their taxes? Are they married? Are they married filing joint? Are they married filing separate?
Correct.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like these are...
I've seen, but listen to what I'm saying. So
Sorry, I'm just...
I know this is your bread and butter. John, I know this is your bread and butter, dude. I was going to make a joke, but it might be way too inappropriate.
No, please do it now.
No, I can't. Anyways, so let's say you do have wage earners, right? And I'm all with you in the sense that absolutely we need to educate ourselves. And I think having some sort of decentralizing yourself, I think, is important, right? But I think for, like you said, 95% of people, they're not going to do that work, right?
No.
That's just a reality, right? But my question to you is, what's the wrong deal or what's the harm, so to say, if, hey, there's no way a middle class family at the end of their working years, I could be wrong, maybe there are exceptions, but if you have wage earners, generally speaking, I doubt there's any middle class family who's going to break that estate threshold, $26 million.
Facts.
Generally speaking.
No,
it's not possible.
It's not there for them.
Correct. But that's my point, is that do you see harm in that if someone says, hey, look, I'm just doing my work, I want to go be with my family, and I want to get, I'm going to invest this money.
No.
There's no... Okay.
I see no harm.
Okay.
Then everything I'm despising here is not for you.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
That's how I started here.
Yeah.
That's why I said, put your money in the S&P 500, enjoy your advisor,
Yeah.
have fun. Great. Getting rich and wealthy is not for you then.
Yeah.
At least not this way. And I'm not here saying everyone needs to go be a trader.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. Definitely not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I am saying...
I just want to clarify that.
No. Again, this is for like the 0.001 on the bell curve. So you got the middle, and we're all on this side, far up and to the right.
Yeah.
You actually want to do something with your life.
Yeah.
You don't want to be norm. If you want to be a normie, then be a normie. This is not for the normie.
Yeah.
This is for, you want to educate yourself and do something different.
Yeah.
You want to break the norm.
No, I think that's pretty powerful stuff, especially if that someone is looking to say, hey, what can I do to go to the next level? Because this is not what I want for the rest of my life. That's good stuff, man.
But how do you take that step, Bryan?
That's a good question, man. I'm still trying to figure that shit out. What I've been doing recently is I've just been reading a little bit more, right? Trying to educate myself a little bit more on certain things. There's certain things I feel pretty confident on, that like knowledge base. Then other things I just feel like a fucking idiot about. And, we were talking offline a little bit about a particular company. And there was just things I didn't even think to look into, like the CEO. Like, oh, fuck, that's probably a good question.
Talk about it.
Yeah. Well,
talk about what I showed you.
There's a particular company.
You don't have to disclose it.
I'm not going to disclose the company that I've been interested in. I think they have a product and a service that I think could be pretty transformative going forward in the future, especially when you have the Internet of Things and how the Internet of Things are going to interact with AI.
Mm-hmm.
I think it could be a good company. Now, our previous recording, we spoke about Warren Buffett and him reading Moody's as a kid,
Right.
Reading these snapshots about these companies, and him going to the 10Ks and reading through those, and really trying to break down a company. Right. So I did that with this particular company. I read through a lot of their K10, not the whole thing. No, not the whole thing, but a lot, especially when it came to like their vision and what the product is. And I thought, okay, this is a pretty good product.
Right.
But one of the things that I didn't think even to look at was, oh man, their CEO, is this a cash grab company, or is he just trying to build a product to sell it and then be done with it? Does this person, the CEO, actually believe in this product where he's going to see it through the end? And to be frank, we saw two pretty good examples where this company went public several years ago, and shortly after it went public, the CEO sold a bunch of equity in the company and cashed it out for some $10 million. Whereas another company that I invest in, that I really think is one of those revolutionary type companies. That company's CEO, years after it went public, hadn't sold any equity in the company until last couple of years, and that company's been public for well over 15 years, right? So it was kind of one of those things like, it definitely makes you think a little bit more. Like,
It's a stark tell.
Yeah. Like where are you in this company? Like, do you believe in this product? And if you don't believe in it, why should I believe in it?
Mm-hmm.
So it's those types of things that I'm starting to try to expose myself to more and more. Full disclosure, I mean, we have different similar backgrounds, maybe in neighborhood, things like that, but not the same too. And especially when it comes to like that real, I don't even call it street education, but just like that education that you got from your dad, like that's invaluable, right? That's worth more than any college degree or anything, right? So going through that journey on my own is sometimes difficult because sometimes you just don't know what to look for.
No, 100%.
So that's why it is a challenge, I think. And it's hard to look past sometimes, like what is that next step, or how do we get to that next step? Is it starting a business? Is it really digging into stocks, right? What is it? I don't know. And so it's been a journey, to say the least. And I'm not totally dissatisfied with how far I've come in certain things. In the last 3+ years, I've done pretty well, like with investments, and some of that is through a financial advisor that sort of, hey, I'm going to trust this person to manage my money, and believe that they have the best intentions. And then a different part of that too has been me kind of exploring the waters on my own and saying, this I'm going to do disconnected from that, and I'm going to invest in stuff that I believe in. And, sometimes it's out of ignorance or hearsay, but I think even with a little bit of ignorance and hearsay, it gets you in the water, and then you figure out how to swim. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's a program on TD Ameritrade. It's called Think or Swim.
Think or swim. Oh, clever. But yeah, I mean, it's good. I think it's good to take risks, at least to a point where, once you figure it out a little bit, it's not as risky anymore. That's my experience, man. I'm trying.
So, I mean, the next full disclosure would be, my own education. I mean, I explained being at a tax office, but I I started investing with a Roth IRA as soon as I started earning
Yeah.
at that office, because I knew that's the thing to start.
Yeah.
So with that first paycheck, I invested into the companies that I knew as a dumbass, 15 and a half year old.
Nike.
So no, I invested in McDonald's. I invested in Best Buy. I invested in Home Depot. I invested in Starbucks, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Google, and Microsoft. Those were my first investments.
Nice.
And I never sold those until I had my aha moment, which was understanding that I'm much better off with a high conviction investing.
Yeah.
And that came out of ignorance.
Yeah.
So at the time, the Tesla Model S had just won Auto Trader's or Motor Trend's Car of the Year.
Yeah.
And to me, that was an indicator that this little tiny startup might actually be worthwhile.
Yeah.
And so I put in $1,000, and I think the stock was at $10.
Yeah.
And I haven't sold that ever since.
Yeah.
And I've been adding on to that position since then.
Yeah.
And it's been something that I've been learning and studying and understanding and growing with it as the company has.
Yeah.
And as the company has grown, so has my conviction with it.
Yeah.
And understanding that, yeah, it might have been an oops of a investment to begin with,
Yeah.
that I had the wherewithal to know, oh shit, something's going on here.
Yeah.
I need to investigate this. And I investigated it.
Yeah.
And then I sold everything and bought only Tesla.
Mm.
And that is when I saw my little tiny portfolio that I started when I was 15 go from 15 grand to I walk into Bank of America's office. I want to talk to this financial financial advisor about options, because now I'm getting interested.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in college. I've had this account now for, let's say, 7 years.
Yeah.
And I had my aha moment, let's say 5 years into that. So I'm still fresh. And I asked this guy, hey, can you help me out? I want to see if I can do this. And it doesn't seem like I have this as a tab on my investing account. Okay, well, let's see what you have. We open it, and he went back because I had more money than he did. Because that was his exact words. How old are you? Dude, you got more money than I do. Huh. I'm doing something right then.
Yeah.
And you're doing something wrong. So that ingrained my conviction even further.
Yeah.
And I realized, oh, you can't buy options when you have a Roth IRA. Silly me.
Yeah.
But now I opened up and I went nuts. And I started understanding what the stock market is. How does this start? Where are the origins of it?
Yeah.
Where did it come from? That's not what my dad did.
Yeah.
That's what I got interested in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's taken me so far as I work with family offices. And if you don't know what a family office is, I think by definition, you want to call it that it's a family, a business,
Yeah.
multiple companies that are well above 300, 400 million.
Yeah.
And so you called me today when I'm coming back from one of these clients.
I called you because I said, hey, I'm going to work.
Yeah.
Let's get the podcast tonight when I get home.
Right. And I was going to visit one of these guys.
Yeah.
And this is not necessarily what we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about other things. But if I don't do this education piece, I don't get to sit with these people.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't go through some sort of schooling to teach me this either.
Yeah.
I kind of did this on my own. And once I had amassed enough money to say, okay, I think I need to understand what centralized education is going to say about it.
Yeah.
Then I started doing that.
Yeah.
Got my licenses. Right? Went in, did my CFP course. Right? Certified Financial Planning.
Yeah.
Haven't quite used it. Because that's not really the kind of work that I do.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to know and get educated on it. Right? What I do is far more complicated than what I learned.
Yeah.
And so I could sense, see, feel, and know that I just know this other world. That most of these kids who are advisors, who work at top firms, and
Yeah.
some of them are even quants, quant researchers,
Mm-hmm.
creating algorithms. They don't know. They don't quite understand this other side.
Yeah.
They're only inside. They're only semiconductors. They only know the inputs and what to do for the outputs. So you're stuck in that centralized world.
Yeah.
And you don't know what the other side could look like. And I think that's the big takeaway.
Yeah.
Is to try to figure out how you can become educated. And doing that. And you're living proof of it.
Mm.
Because you've kind of listened to my advice as I spew it out to you.
Yeah.
Because
That's true.
at some point, you were kind of talking to me that you were thinking, okay, we're thinking about doing something. And I literally told you, I think this is the time that you should go out and get the house. And you applied and you saw that you had it and you could do it.
Yeah.
And you got it.
Yeah. That's true. Very true.
Hate to be the dick, but I don't think your advisor told you.
No.
No.
To be fair, I didn't fully talk to him about that. I said, I had said, hey, this goal is a 3-year plan. This is what I imagine in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about it within that context of being 3 years. But it's funny, man, when purchasing a property, it's funny that you get to a point where you just kick that first domino down and then it all just starts to fall. Like it kind of falls into place. And there was I wouldn't even say we really had any challenges in that process. It was pretty clean for the most part. But I never thought I'd be able to do that. And the fact that we did, it was exciting. It's something that I'm proud of that we were able to get that. So good stuff, man.
I heard what you said and I listened. So congrats.
Wow. Yeah, man. I'm just trying to get on your level, dude. Right? I mean, we do different things though, and that's okay. I like to think that we learn from each other at times, and so that's it's always interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But and I've said this before. I think you're one of the smartest dudes I know, man.
Appreciate it.
And I don't say that lightly.
I'm just curious. That's all.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what it's about. And I think, too, I was thinking about, you talk about high conviction, right? I think, obviously, high conviction comes with development, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not that you just believe in something
Blindly.
blindly, right? Or without any evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And not necessarily for everything, but I think too, at the same token, that's probably a good way to live your life too, man. It's just a good analogy for what I think would be a meaningful life, right? You educate yourself, you take risk, you trust the process in some way, right? That you're going to be okay on the other side. But at the end of the day, if you have high convictions, you can tell people in their daily life when they have a high conviction on something, whether it's, in your instance, like a stock or a position, or if it's something, totally different, something in their personal, like faith or something. And you see those people, they just carry themselves differently,
Right.
because they believe in something. I think, that's something that's greater than themselves for the most part. And they believe it with such passion. It's hard to not, be invigorated by that to some degree, like to be inspired by, man, how do I get to that person's level? You know what I mean? There's always something infectious about people who are, living their lives at high standards, and you see the products of that. It's kind of a beautiful thing, man. And that's the, sort of the crazy thing too, is that these people aren't out there preaching, right, necessarily about what to do and what not to do. They're just living their life, and they're inspiring just by how they live their lives. It's quite a beautiful thing, actually.
That's also why I'm saying most of this is not for everyone.
Yeah.
Because this is a lot of hard work.
Yeah, I think sometimes that's the same thing you forget too. Like Kobe Bryant makes basketball look easy because he's so good at it. But what you don't see when he's doing these crazy things, or did those crazy things, is the amount of work that he did beforehand, before each game and every practice. Like, the guy put in so much work.
Right.
I mean, he had a whole mentality, right? And his mentality was being that monster that we kind of touch on quite a bit. And it's just interesting when you apply that to just every aspect of your life, whether it's your finances, whether it's a sport, whether it's your job or your work. Like, it's just interesting to see how all these things are intertwined and applicable to one another. So, being the monster, man. Being the monster in personal finance. But I also see, I think, like for me, my journey has been pretty interesting in the sense that I think I definitely was more of like, hey, let's just put an S&P. I'm still going to get some exposure to the market. My money's still going to grow. And, shooting for retirement, right? I think that evolution has happened over a period of time. And I think a part of that evolution is coming down to that education. So, for anyone watching us who are in the 95%, like myself, I think the important thing is that it doesn't have to be like let's just face it. Most of us aren't going to be Warren Buffett, right? Most of us aren't going to be these ultra billionaires. I just don't think, I think there is something to being special, right? Like Kobe Bryant was special. He had the talent with the work ethic, and you have to have both of those, I think. It's a winning formula, so to speak, but you can still have the work ethic, right? Even if you don't have the best and brightest ideas that are going to make you $100 billion or whatever the case may be, you can still put in the work, and you'll see the difference. It's crazy. You see the difference in your own life. So I think for anyone listening to this who's like, man, this whole process, like, that sounds like a lot. Just do a little bit at each time. And we've talked about it here too, but the 1% better every day, I think, right, goes a long way. And that's how we should look at least for us normies. That's how we got to look at this process, is like, hey, yeah, we might be fucking normies, but it doesn't mean we have to be forever. And it doesn't mean we have to live a certain way forever. It all comes down to making good decisions and educating yourself. And that's free, right?
Yeah.
There's no, it doesn't cost a whole lot of your time to do a little bit better. I had a buddy, he said, hey, this is how you really improve your acumen in the finance world is you just read about finance an hour a day or an hour a week.
Yeah.
And
it
it's
helps.
and
It helps.
you might not be a pro, but you're going to understand a lot more shit and make better educated decisions where you can develop that high conviction and hopefully better develop your skill set and get to that next level of decentralized.
All right, I got to pee. We'll be right back.
Pee break. Pee break. All right. John, we're back. We've actually been back, but for the purposes of the edit, we're back. We're just recharging.
Releasing.
Releasing, yeah. Well, we're back from our pee break.
Pee break.
It was a good pee break.
Yeah.
I feel good.
Yeah. I needed that.
It was a full tank. I think you're like, fuck, I had to go pee for shit. And I made the comment, man, we need to have a signal.
Nah, it's best to just be like, hey.
Dick, I gotta piss. That can be used in many contexts. Like, hey, Dick, I gotta piss. Or, Dick, I gotta piss. But yeah, man. I don't even. Where do we leave off at? I left off on my monologue about high conviction.
No, and getting your pad. So I mean, like, I guess something I do want to touch on, right, is two things that I think when you do ask, what can I do? What should I do?
Yeah.
Even though I made fun of it, you should have some sort of other retirement out besides the social welfare system that they create for you.
Yeah.
So it's good to have a retirement account if it's given to you by your work, by your employer. It's good to create your own little nest egg for yourself, where you can do this experimentation on new stocks and things like that, just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
If you are below the income for a Roth IRA, I think it's $6,500 that you can be adding to it yearly.
7,000 now.
7,000. There you go. So, and I think it's like 300K, 350.
I think for married joint.
See, this is why I didn't do the full CFP this year. I should know all of these numbers. If I were a real centralized financial advisor, I should have these numbers straight out of my ass. But no, I don't. I'm over here fucking guessing it somewhere over there.
So I think 7,000 is a max contribution
sure,
yearly,
but it's based off of your income.
It's based off your income.
I have it on. Either way, you should have one of those.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I already said this, brokerage account. If you are tickled by the fancy, I agree with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You should have some Bitcoin. The last pod came up with almost 15 grand or more. Cash, gold, silver bars.
Yeah. All right. Hey, so we're gonna touch on this a little bit. Maybe he'll do the demonstration. Maybe he won't. But maybe I'll ruin it here. Last pod, I thought it was pretty cool. You brought out silver bars. You brought out some gold coins. And cash.
Yeah.
What was the cash amount? It was like what, $5,000? 8 grand. And so it was interesting to see from, I think people obviously get excited. They always get big, right? But it was interesting to see sort of how this one little coin is comparable value to that cash. I think that was sort of the interesting part too, is
Right.
that each of these different pieces, like the silver was heavy as fuck,
Mm-hmm.
but that's only worth
$30, $40, or well,
yeah.
the kilo that's like $1,000.
Correct.
Yeah.
But how big that one piece was compared to how big the gold piece was, and the gold piece was 1 ounce, significantly more valuable than that silver kilo bar. But no, it's just interesting, man. But fun at the same time. I had fun with that.
Yeah. I'm not gonna go get my Bitcoin stick, but
that's true, man. The Bitcoin stick. But yeah, man, personal finance is a journey, and I think that's what. Before we went to our pee break, that's what I really wanted to get at, man. Is that everybody's journey is going to be a little bit different, just kind of like life, man. Everybody's journey is a little bit different, but there are things you can do to make it better. I think that's the moral of the story, man. For me, just in every aspect, there are things you can do to make your life better. You have the ability, you have the capability. Sometimes it's just as simple of making a decision to do the thing. So finance is no different. Personal finance is no different. And for listeners, maybe similar background, right? Like you maybe come from a family where things were tighter, right? Like that's if you look at that and you think about how it makes you feel, you might not remember every single thing growing up of what it was like to not have things, or not have that security. But that feeling should inspire you to be like, I want something different for my life. And I think that's what really inspired me, man.
yeah,
I just want something different for my life. I don't want to stress.
right.
And I see what it did, what it can do to the family, right? So I think it's important to really evaluate for yourself and find your why and your motivation. And that's not just for finance, it's really for everything, right? I heard a phrase today, what's in it for me, right? And a lot of times when you're talking to people about something that could be beneficial for their lives, or something that's good, how do you get the buy-in? And really the buy-in comes from selling what's in it for me. And I think everyone has to figure out what's in it for them. And I think, and when it comes to finance, I think the answer is simple, like financial freedom, eliminating the stress.
See, but only you know what that looks like.
100%, right? Like I don't think we can sit here and say, hey, this is a blanket solution for every individual, because what's going to motivate me is going to be different than what motivates you and everyone watching. All 25 subscribers. Fuck yeah.
Right?
All 40 viewers. But no, 100%. Like everyone has to figure out, and I think it comes back to what you were talking about earlier, curiosity and the willingness to dig deeper and investigate your own personal desires and personal wants and for your own future and families and things like that. But this is why I always tell people, again, my journey is different, but I think this is for everybody, right? Even if you're not in the 5% category of people who are really decentralized, education is for everybody. Financial education is for everybody. Someone who I'm cool with at the office, we have just been talking shop and talking finance and trying to figure, just kind of shooting the shit about it and like, hey man, this is some of the things I've been thinking about. And he goes on to do his own deep dive and try to really make sense of this shit for himself, and then look for companies that that he finds valuable, right? So it's just been interesting, just from my vantage point, oh dude, this little conversation I had about having financial freedom and not relying on Social Security as what's going to be my retirement income, that inspired that conversation. So he found his why, I think, and I think that's.
Should I go give him my financial planning card?
You should give him your financial planning card. Now, if you want that information, find the link in the description below. But no, I mean, I think that's where it starts. It's for everybody, dude. You know, whatever level you're at, like, you got to start at some point. And I don't think.
But it's so, like, I mean, I've done the let's look for clients, right?
Yeah.
So look for clients as a financial advisor. And one of the things that I was doing at some point was I was literally just spewing out, like, okay, give me your information, give me your phone number, give me your email,
Yeah.
and I'll contact you and we'll talk.
Yeah.
And so for a solid 5 months, yeah, it was 5 months, I was talking to randos at the office about their own financial issues. And I was like, all right, dude, give it to me. You got 20 minutes. Let's go. And so this was my version of what's his name? That YouTuber that you
Mark Moss?
No, the other
Graham.
No, the other guy.
What the fuck was that? I was kidding.
Weird. That was weird.
Yeah. I don't know.
That other guy.
I'm trying to think. What other guy? The names are Joe Rogan.
No.
Fuck, financial YouTube guy.
Yeah.
Oh, Dave Ramsey.
Nope.
Fuck.
All he does is just like berate people.
Oh, Caleb Hammer.
There, that guy.
You could have been more specific.
Sorry. But I wasn't. I was actually trying to be useful, helpful.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what they actually needed. And, like, dude, like, 70% of the people I was talking to are just in fucking misery.
Why is that? Why were they in misery? From your assessment.
No respect to money.
Mm.
So the same thing that I was telling you of, like, the money has no opinion of you. You have to have no opinion of it.
Yeah.
And everyone that I talked to, maybe it was just my marketing was fantastic for this demographic.
I guess so.
But all I was talking to were people who were living paycheck to paycheck, dead ass broke.
Yeah. Debt.
Out the ass. Were like wanting to talk to me about another car payment that they wanted to get.
So you were basically Caleb Hammer, just without the cameras.
And I was just talking to them like, dude, like, what are you thinking? Like, and I was running ads on Facebook.
Yeah.
And Instagram, and I was getting 300-400 people just giving me their information for it.
Oh, wow.
Like,
When was this?
This was like 2017, 2018.
Okay. I was going to say, I don't remember this.
Yeah. And that's how I was like, all right, let's try to see if I can find a couple clients from this.
Yeah.
That would be worthwhile. And so my initial thought was like, let's just talk to people and see what's going on.
Yeah.
And so I ran some ads, and like, that's what I was getting. Eventually, that's what also got me banned from running Facebook ads.
Oh.
Ironically.
Interesting.
Weird turn of events, but I was able to talk to a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Right. See what they were doing, see what was going on. And it was sad. Because it was just, these people were desperate, hoping a quick conversation is going to turn everything around.
Yeah.
And the reality is, like, no, like, you got to do some digging. You got to do some thinking. You got to do some changing.
Yeah.
And this is not just a simple phone call fix.
Yeah.
This is not how life works.
This isn't like, hey, crunch the numbers, please. And you're like, well, there's no number crunching here. This sucks. Well, can you try again?
Yeah. Like, seriously, this is looking at nature for the first time and not being able to realize, like, the grass is going to continue growing, dude.
Yeah.
It's not stopping.
What do you think? How do you think that people fall into those traps?
It could be upbringing. It could be just absolute desperation.
Mm.
You've just made bad decision after bad decision after bad decision, and now you're in this hole.
Yeah.
You know? So, and there's no reflex in their body to be able to assess
Yeah.
where the bad step was.
Mm.
And so it just we keep going, and it just keeps getting worse.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't.
Well, you know, just kind of echoing off my personal experience, you know, I remember my relationship to money probably has had some unhealthy periods, so to speak. You know, I remember I had a maxed out credit card. You know, I had a personal loan of like $11,000, a car loan with $11,000.
Okay, but how do we get there?
That's a good question. And I think if I had to be honest with myself, a lot of it was the inability to delay gratification because I wanted stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like,
You
oh,
need
well,
stuff.
I can afford this. I'll just pay it off later. Not
Tomorrow.
a big deal. Pay it off tomorrow.
Mañana.
And then, yeah, right. And a lot of it was having my cake and eat too, because I remember this is, 2017. You know, it was a different financial situation. You know, I was in a different workplace, and I thought I could afford more than I could. And I got my own apartment and things like that, and then you just realize, oh shit, like things are going by fast. I'm living way above my means. So it's like it's crazy because one decision begets another bad decision, right? And you're just trying to scramble and find a way out of that hole. And so you do, like, you pull out a personal loan because you think, oh, I'm going to consolidate my credit cards, but that didn't change the underlying behavior, right? So then you pull out the personal loan because, oh, well, I'm going to consolidate and I have no debt on the credit cards. I just pay this one single loan. In theory, it works. But the reality is I didn't change the underlying behavior and I maxed out the credit card again. You're like, fuck, here we go, man. And then you get stressed because you're trying to run the numbers and like, okay, well, what if I do this? Or if I I try to work another job or something, or just stress. And then none of the numbers work because you're just such in a fucking deep hole. And it's for me, it was being in that fucking hole and not, looking up and be like, oh fuck, man, well, that's pretty high. And how am I going to dig myself out of it? That I really was able to change the behavior. And then I think once I got to the behavior issue, and then once I felt like I had a grasp on what I was spending and why I was spending it, I was like, okay, I don't need that shit. Like, I'm satisfied with what I have. I'm going to live within my means. And then the snowball method for the credit card, like, that was huge because you're paying off these little ones first. And it's like, oh, no. And I kept applying it in like 2 years, it was out of debt. And then now I'm able to save, and I'm like, oh shit, this is great. And not only am I able to save, I'm able to now start investing. And to be on the other end of that now, it's like, fuck yeah, it's a good feeling.
Right.
So, having been in that position where, like a lot of Caleb Hammer guests, where they're all fucked up and they're like, oh, I'm having $20,000 in credit card debt. It seems insurmountable, but once I think like we talked about, you have to recognize what your own individual issues are and take proactive steps to address those individual issues. And then here goes the reality, man. Like anything, you're going to struggle. It's not easy, but it's never, I think when you do struggle and you do have failures, it's not so much that you linger on the failures, is that you keep continuing. Like, you just pick up where you left off. And that's the important thing in anything you do, right? Like, you pick up where you left off and you continue the march. And good things happen, man. Good things happen. You get out of debt.
And I mean, I know that in your journey, that also required you to change careers.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so you changed completely. And that's part of that growth, right?
Absolutely, man. Yeah.
And so it's also a decision to know and say, this shit ain't working here.
Yeah.
I need to do something different.
Yeah. Man.
And the willingness to try something new and doing it.
Yeah.
And you did it.
And to see the fruits of that today, like, you know, I think it's good. It's good.
Yeah, you're definitely in the 1% of your high school
Oh,
class.
I'm sure. We are the 1%.
Just jokes.
Just jokes. Hey, if anybody from my high school is watching this, I love you guys.
These are just jokes.
These are just jokes. No, 100%. I think that career change was important. Had been something I thought about for some time, and then to actually do it, like, there was some risk, right? But taking that risk, I mean.
But we think it's a risk.
Well, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
There's some stuff that you perceive in your mind that, oh man, I won't be able to do this, and then you just fucking do it.
Right.
And you come out on the other side and you're like, oh shit, it's not too bad. So the career change was definitely positive. You know, the office now is much brighter than it was in the past. So
how different is your retirement account that you are running in comparison to the one that the advisor is running?
That's a good question. Honestly, they've both done pretty well, to be frank.
Have you actually taken a look at both of them?
Yes.
And compared them?
Yes and no. I mean, less is in the one that I've kind of experimented with.
Sure.
But
just like as a percentage-wise of growth.
Yeah, no, I mean, there is a small difference, but I think overall, I think I've seen probably a little bit more growth in the individual brokerage account that I manage versus the advisor account. But I think the advisor account it's not terrible either. It's like, it's pretty good. I've had pretty significant growth on both. But I think in at least the last 2 years, the brokerage account has done better percentage-wise. My wife, on the other hand, she should have been a pro. She would have been a pro if this was her field.
Because
I think in like 2 years, she had like almost 200% growth or something wazzy. I'm like, what the fuck? She was on the Nancy Pelosi books. I'm like, God damn. So, and I don't, obviously, she doesn't have the background, or, you know, she's focused on other things right now that I don't think she's been able to really put a lot of mental real estate into that. She still learns a lot, obviously, but when it comes to finance, she's just, her brokerage account's really good, though. I'm going to give her that for sure. Whether it was luck or not, like, hey, fuck it. All good. All good. Like, yeah, she probably could have been a hedge fund manager. But, yeah, I mean, I think personal finances, like we kind of been saying, man, I think it's the key to freedom, to be honest. Like, not to have to worry about the little things, and then the ability to ride the waves when they come, and, handle turbulence. Like, paycheck to paycheck sucks. And I've been there. Like, been there growing up, and I've been there as an adult, and it fucking sucks. I think, everybody has to find their why, dude. Of what's in it for me, and why it's important to be out of that position and pick good positions. But I don't know, you've had a pretty interesting journey yourself too, though, man. And it's crazy to see you from a few years ago to now. It's like, I remember the CFP stuff was, that was something you're really pushing for, I think. Until maybe you unlock these just through learning, and you're like, I think there was a change there, right? So that's been interesting to see too. How do you feel about that?
I mean, one is, for sure, just getting your own confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
Battle testing it. And I think I've had the opportunities of having a couple solid, good earning years, like professionally as a business owner.
Yeah.
Where that kind of gives you the, okay, it's all right.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, being able to weather the storm, that helps.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I've also lost a lot too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've experienced those losses, those fun gains, even as like a young, stupid trader, where I remember we were going insane when we were up $10,000-$15,000.
Yeah.
And today we're able to joke like, it went up today.
Yeah,
It went down today.
Kind of reminds me of Norm Macdonald. He's like, I don't really know much about the stock market, but Dow Jones is up. That's good. I don't like it when it goes down.
Dirty dog.
You dirty dog. Rest in peace, goat. I miss you, man. Never met you, but fucking Norm Macdonald is a hero. Zero. Well, John, what's going on for the rest of the week, man? What do you got going?
So, like, the showing of the money wasn't in vain. I am thinking of getting a car for shits and giggles. We'll see. We'll see if I get it.
The Datsun King.
No, not another Datsun.
What kind of car would you get? Pre-74, I take it.
Yeah. I got my eyes on two cars right now. One of them is for sure deadbeat of a project, but it would be worthwhile in the end.
Yeah. And
that's a 72. Yeah, 72 Pontiac GTO. I'm going to go look at a 71 Pontiac Firebird tomorrow. And if I like it, I'll buy it. If I don't like it, I won't buy it.
Yeah, it's that simple.
Yeah, I did you make it up to the Bay Area when I had my Pontiac? No?
Nope. It was a weird time when you were in the Bay Area. Yeah. I feel like there was it when you were in college? That was right? Did you go back to the Bay Area at any point, or just when you were up there for college?
Just college. In college, I just kind of stayed up there, really.
Yeah.
I didn't come back.
When did you come back? It was sometime after too, right?
No, just like a year. I stayed there for a year. I graduated, and then I stayed there an extra year, and then after that, that's when I came back.
Okay.
And then within a year and a half, I was out again, going to Spain.
Yeah.
Then I did Spain, and then I didn't come back for another year and a half.
Yeah.
And
I remember we went to the bank so you can convert some euros and get some euros. I think we went to B of A and Wells Fargo. If I remember correctly, over in the beach cities somewhere, undisclosed locations. And
Sure.
I think you were leaving maybe like a couple days after that.
Yeah.
It was what was that, end of 2016?
Yeah.
Towards the end of 2016, yeah.
Sure.
Shit, because you were starting what, in the spring?
Yeah.
Yeah. Spain is beautiful, huh?
Love it.
Spain is absolutely beautiful. I haven't been there. My wife told me it's beautiful. It's funny. She actually has been to where you were at. And Murcia and Valencia and all over there.
Mm-hmm.
I think she actually did some school out there, if I'm not mistaken. She has a background in social sciences and did a lot of studying abroad in her college years. So she's seen a lot of the world, even in the Middle East too, which is kind of crazy. So she's seen a lot of the world, and I just look like a plebe over there. I'm like, Germany, let's go get the beer. And she's like, let's study. Yeah. But no, it's good stuff, dude. Yeah, I remember that 2016. It's a long time ago. We're almost at 10 years. Can you believe that? 10 years since you've been in Spain.
Yeah, don't fucking remind me, dude. Damn.
Yeah, wild, huh? Is it? That's the thing too, man. Time. It's weird how I remember being a kid and like Christmas could never come soon enough, and now it's like, holy shit, it's fucking Christmas almost.
10 years ago.
Yeah. How many Christmases? Jeez. I still need a break from last Christmas.
Yeah.
But no, it's interesting though how fast things seem to go. Just, I don't think there's anything mystical to it. It's just that, hey, we're fucking busy living life, and life just goes by fast when you're having fun or you're working.
I have a strange theory.
Oh, here we go. Hit me.
It relates back to friend of the pod, Dr. Jack.
Dr. Jack.
And
Cruise.
Yeah.
What did he say?
That when we're babies, newborns, they're about 80% water. Right? And I mean, as the birth is happening, we literally announce it. My water broke.
Yeah.
Like, the baby's ready to go. Like, the water that this thing used to be sitting in, it's out.
It's ready.
Right? So, as you get older, you need more and more sunlight so that your body can help, basically the mitochondria create energy.
Which are the cells or the mechanism in the cell for energy.
Correct.
The mitochondria.
And
the mitochondria.
Without water, fuck all.
Yeah.
And so as you get older, you become less and less and less full of water. So you could be 80 something years old and maybe, let's say, you're only 30% water.
Yeah.
That water's gone. So maybe it's our knowledge and feeling that this water is escaping us as we get older. That's my strange, crazy theory that I have no scientific backing on.
I got an unrelated theory.
Shoot.
All right. Unrelated theory that has zero scientific backing and could not be real, but it's about aliens.
Oh, shit.
We're going there.
We got canceled.
So, this is probably talked about quite a bit, by other podcasters on huge shows. But I've been thinking about this for probably the last the Greys. I've probably been thinking about this for the last like 15 years.
The Anunnaki.
No. See, I don't know about all that.
Oh,
I don't know about all that. But here's my theory. And
Damn
it's not really a compelling theory anymore because they always talk about it. But you know the idea that there's parallel universes, right?
Mm-hmm. Everything is probability, Brian.
Right? That there is some probability that there exist parallel universes. But I don't think aliens, as we know them, are within our operate within our universe.
Wow.
And so here goes the thing. The universe is so big, right? The observable universe is fairly small from what we can tell. But then, I mean, relative, right? But then you look at what we can observe in the universe, and it's fucking massive.
Yeah.
And, you know, the way the light year works, right? It's
Buzz?
Buzz, exactly. Exactly. No. So the way a light year works is that light takes 1 year to travel. The speed of light, which is something like, I don't know. I can't even think of the number, right? But 1 light year is the amount of the time it takes for light to travel, right? That distance. So if you think about the Milky Way galaxy, our home galaxy is 100,000 light years. It's actually fairly, medium size, even if that's kind of small. There's galaxies that have, 5 billion light years, which is huge. But we are 100,000 light years. So for light to get from the farthest end of the galaxy to the other end, it take 100,000 years the speed of light. So in my mind, I think given the same set of standards, I don't think that there's any species that can be capable of that. And again, no scientific backing. This is just up here. I don't think there's anything in the galaxy or even in the universe that can attain that. Because even if you would have to have greater than light speed travel to even make that feasible, right? So traveling from one end of our galaxy to the other end of the galaxy, it's super inefficient. It's 100,000 years to get from one end to the other if you're going the speed of light, right? I just don't think that we're capable of that. I don't think anyone's capable of that anywhere in the galaxy or anywhere in the universe. Just seems implausible to me because it's such a difficult problem. Here's what I think. This is what's really going on. If aliens do exist, we're not actually looking at other aliens that are comparable to us. We're looking at probably interdimensional beings that have the ability to go in between time itself, in between dimensions. And those are the things that, if we are seeing anything, it's probably likely that.
That leads,
or it's the fucking government with drones and shit.
Oh.
Who knows? But yeah, that's my theory that has no scientific backing, that has no basis in fact. That's just off the top of my head that I'm sure many other people have also thought of as well.
I'll tell you another alien.
Here we go. We're getting there.
Compound interest.
Well, John, on that note, is there any closing thought you have for us tonight?
Exponential interest.
Big growth, the best growth. At the time of this recording, we do have a new president-elect.
Uh-huh. Hasn't been shot yet.
Hasn't been shot just yet. Probably at some point. At least attempt number 3. But we do have a price. We won't get into the implications or what we think particularly, because this is not necessarily a political show. This is an apolitical show for the most part. So,
And we don't want to be accused of misinformation, disinformation, malinformation,
yeah, exactly.
noir information.
We're just we're a repository here for hopefully information that people find valuable.
A repository for America.
For America. On the other note, I feel like we qualify ourselves pretty much because we're not at least me when it comes to this stuff, especially. I'm no expert. This guy here, he's a fucking expert. He knows what's up. Sometimes. But on any topic, we're no experts, but we're fucking real people just trying to make it through. And that's what this show is all about. And that's what this is why we're doing what we're doing, because we're just real people having a conversation about stuff that we think is important. We might not be experts. We're all kind of on a different path and trying to improve our lives, but we're all heading in that trajectory. And I hope you keep joining us.
So are all the Hell's Angels.
The Hell's Angels, man.
Behind us.
They're all behind us, going in the same direction.
There's a lot of bikers out right now.
There's a lot of bikers out right now here in Los Angeles. Hope they don't. We're not endorsing murder, okay? Murder is no good. Because the Hell's Angels, they have committed atrocities. But it's just a club, right? It's a motorcycle club.
Don't pass a biker with a patch.
Yeah. Well, if they have red bandanas, beware.
Oh.
Okay. That's just all speculation. I have no idea. On that note, John, any closing thoughts for us?
It's like you could read my mind and I'm not going to say it. I'm done.
All right. On that note, thank you for watching the last 2 hours of Below the Trees. We appreciate your time. Please do all the regular YouTube things. Like, comment, and subscribe. We really appreciate everyone who's just joined the channel. We're at 25 whole subscribers. And deep down from my heart, I really appreciate you guys watching and listening to us kind of talk bullshit and have a good time.
R.I.P. Tukey.
On that note, this is Below the Trees. We'll see you on the next episode. Episode 9 coming up on another day. Thank you and have a good night. Hello, welcome to the Below the Trees podcast. We've got a great episode for you today. As you would note, this is episode 8, but we actually previously recorded episode 8, but due to technical difficulties that we actually get into on the show, this is now the true episode 8. So thank you for joining in. We have a great show for you. We talk about finance, and we even get into some weird conspiracy theories that have no basis in fact.
Or logic.
They're just from our own damn fucked up brains. And then we're just sharing them because that's what we do. We have a good time on the show. This is the Below the Trees podcast. So here's what we want you to do. I want you to pull up a chair. I want you to eat some popcorn, sit in the toilet with your phone. Do whatever you need to do. And thank you for joining us on today's episode of Below the Trees, episode 8. We're in, not out. I don't know.
That's in the bloopers.
All right, last one. Hello there. Welcome to the Below the Trees podcast. We've got a great episode for you.
I know this got real slow and romantic all of a sudden.
Yeah,
Go for it.
Hello there. Welcome to the Below the Trees podcast. We've got a great episode for you. We get into personal finance, but not just personal finance, about what to do and what not to do, but really we break down what it means to be decentralized, and we also talk about what it means to be centralized. And we give you some real practical tips and strategies that we think could improve your life and for the better. I think that's good. Try it again.
That would work.
Hello there. Welcome to Below the Trees podcast. This is episode number 8. Thank you for joining us. We actually had a real episode number 8 previous to this, but due to technical difficulties, which we actually get into quite a bit on the show. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that one.
Here we go.
All right, here we go. Part 5. I think the first one was the best one so far. All right. Hey, welcome to Below the Trees podcast. Thank you for joining us today. We got a really great episode for you. We get into all sorts of things as it relates to personal finance, but not just where to put your money and how to do it or what it is, but we really try to get down into the weeds and break down what this whole fucking shit show is about. And then we also get into some pretty weird conspiracy theories that have no basis in fact. And let's just face it, it's from our own dummy brains and what we're conjuring up when we go to bed at night. So sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, get some dates. Anyone eat dates anymore? The Medjool dates? I guess just me. But indulge us with your time. This is Below Trees podcast. We got something.